Joshua Schultz. I am the chairman of the CD-5 College Republicans. I'm here with Merideth VanSant, another one of our candidates running for Congress. And just to get started, so who are you and why are you running?
So thank you for having me today. My name is Merideth VanSant, and I am raised and educated in Edmond. I went through the Edmond Public School Systems, did my undergrad at UCO and my master's at Oklahoma State University. So I am Edmond and Central Oklahoma through and through. We started a family lumber yard about 26 years ago, and since then have grown it to support most of Central Oklahoma. In addition to home building, I'm in management consulting. I have started and sold companies myself. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm thrilled to be here today.
Awesome. So we're going to just go into the campaign. Let's say, what are your three areas of your campaign, the three big policies you want to tackle?
Okay, so if I'm limiting it to three, I have this vision, along with my fellow constituents, on what I want for Central Oklahoma and really our country as a whole. And it really is a vision of pro-family and pro-business. So when I'm elected to Congress, one of the first things I want to do is modernize the House. I want to demystify what's happening in Washington. We need transparency into what is and isn't being worked on with our taxpayer dollars. I also want to focus on jobs, the rising college tuition rates, messing with any unemployment rates. I want to create viable pathways to careers, including trade, tech, automation, upskilling our current and future workforce for Industry 4.0. Then I also want to focus on education. We've got to strengthen our public school offerings and expand parental choice.
Okay. So how do you differ from the other candidates running for this office?
Well, I'm a lot younger. I'm a lot more gregarious, and I'm of the district. This is my home, and these are my people. I'm not writing myself a check to fund my own congressional run. Our campaign is very grassroots. We are out almost every day knocking doors, running town halls, meeting with the people that are my neighbors and my community members.
Okay. So we're going to tackle a couple policies that have been a concern, especially for the state of Oklahoma as a whole. Second Amendment. So, everything going on for Virginia, the gun control. What are your opinions on that? Do we need more gun control, or are you of the idea of if the military has it, we should have it?
So I come from a military family. That aside, I believe our Second Amendment right is a God-given right. Also in the U.S. Constitution, and I'll protect and defend the Second Amendment, but this was a God-given right prior to us becoming the United States of America. What's happening in Virginia, where my brother lives right now, who's a former Special Forces Ranger, what's happening there is abhorrent. It's tyranny. And when I hear of what's going on and the threat to our Second Amendment, I have to think, the government doesn't control us. We control the government. We, the people, get to control the government. And for them to come in and enforce so heavily and regulate so heavily against our amendment, our Second Amendment right, I absolutely am against government control. Absolutely. This is an overstep of the state government in Virginia. And once I'm elected to the House, I will continue to fight for our Second Amendment right and our entire rights under the Constitution.
Okay. We're all college students here, so free tuition, rising tuition costs is a big problem. The Democrats are talking about free tuition by raising taxes. How do you associate lowering the tuition costs, but let's say without raising taxes?
So first of all, so I study economics. My MBA is in economics and finance, and what really irks me is these fairy tale economics, these universal principles where we can use other people's money to pay for other people's choices. Universal college tuition, universal basic income, universal health care. This is all taking away from hard-earned dollars earned by our local Oklahoma families. So when I was recently in college, I'm not that far out of it, and we were just talking off camera, through undergrad and grad school, I worked for the same restaurant for 7 years to pay my way through college and graduated debt-free. So I think there's something to be said for, one, being responsible for the choice of going to college, which I commend you all for, and two, being responsible for managing that good debt that we choose to take out in tuition. And I think we have to be responsible for paying it back. I think the onus falls on all of us as students to understand what university we can go to, what we major in, right? Return our investment once we graduate. How can we pay back the loan we took out for college tuition? I think it goes back to individual responsibility and managed colleging choice. I really, though, want to tie this back to how important it is that college isn't our only option. There are viable pathways to careers above and beyond a 4-year degree, an advanced master's. I applaud all of the students in this room. I myself have gone through the process, but I think it's time to dignify additional trade work. Electrical, plumbing, iron, steel, all of these additional trades. We've got automation programs going on at a lot of our tech and trade schools right now. I think we've got to look about viable pathways to careers above and beyond taking out mass amounts of debt for a very expensive college tuition bill.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big thing. I don't know if you know what National Signing Day is, but it's a big deal in college sports. And actually a lot of the tech schools around the nation and in Oklahoma actually during that day would sign when a graduate from that tech school would actually sign a contract to a construction company or a plumbing company. That is another great viable way of getting into the workforce and making good money and not having to get into the debt that we talk about. So the next big issue, I guess, for Oklahomans is abortion.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on that?
Oh, that's a loaded one. So when I was a younger woman, I was a bit more moderate on this. I kind of fell into the trap that, okay, it's a women's issue only, guys out of this conversation. I thought, you know, okay, if I'm a feminist, which I am, I believe men and women should have equal access. I kind of thought, this is a women's issue and it's my body. It fell under that feminism umbrella. And as I've gotten older and gone through my mid-20s, late 20s, and now into my early 30s, being a devout Catholic my whole life and experiencing the miracle of childbirth, I have a 5-year-old, there's no way that I could ever be more moderate on this stance again. I am pro-life from conception. To me, this is a human being and it's a miracle from God. And I will do everything in my power to protect that.
Awesome. So we're just going to go in. So what are the biggest needs you see in the House District? You know, you have several counties. What is the biggest issue that you see that you need to tackle?
We've got a lot of problems. So first of all, we have a lot of strength. As Oklahomans, we're very resilient, but I see a lot of vulnerabilities in our district right now, specifically generational cycles of poverty. We have families that are unable to break this cycle of extreme poverty. And because of it, we have reoccurring incidents of trauma. We have reoccurring incidents of violence, incarceration. We've got one of the strongest pre-K to prison pipelines in the nation. This is incredibly important, especially as it relates to our minority populations. Hispanic, Asian, African Americans, they are all disproportionately affected by poverty in our state. This is one of the most pressing things I plan to solve is breaking the generational cycle of poverty.
Okay. As a graduate of Del City High School, you know, I went to a school like that where it was the majority of the students that I would go to high school with would at least have a felony before they graduated. And after they graduated and would return to prison. So it is a big issue that we see throughout the 5th District, and that is a great issue to tackle. So what can you do, what do you think you can do to beat Kendra Horn?
Well, first of all, there's lots of opportunities in our district right now to amplify Central Oklahoma's voice in the national conversation. I have the best chance of beating Kendra Horn in the general. I am connected downtown. It is my home. I have an opportunity to grab the women swing voters that can go either way in the general, to capture the independents that don't want to vote for socialism in the general, and I make myself available. It's one of the greatest pleasures of running for office and to support our community is the amount of grassroots work we're doing. I'm in the district every single day, meeting with blue-collar workers, students like yourself, making myself available to our community. And I think that when it comes to winning in November, there's no one better but myself to capture the swing voters and the people that really want a voice in Washington, D.C.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add? You know, how people can get involved, volunteer, where to see your page at on Facebook, anything like that?
Yes. So this is a grassroots campaign through and through. If you want to knock doors, if you want to assemble yard signs, if you want to volunteer at our town halls, at our speaking events, if you're looking for a way to get involved with both the youngest candidate and the hardest working candidate, please connect with me on social media or our website.
Okay. Thank you, Meredith, for coming.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure. And we'll have more of these videos coming out with the rest of the candidates. Just stay tuned, and we'll see you. God bless.